South China Sea stands at the crossroads of rising global tensions, as China's strategic ambitions continue to shape the region's future. Spanning vital shipping lanes and rich in natural resources, this maritime expanse is not just a local dispute. It has become a flashpoint with global implications. For China, the stakes are immense, with plans to assert control over contested territories despite competing claims from neighboring nations like the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and even Indonesia, which has a key interest in the Natuna Islands.
I order you to leave this territory. I order you to leave this territory.
Beijing's growing military presence, including expansive island-building operations and increased naval and aerial patrols, raises the question: what exactly does China want? And how far is it willing to go to secure its claims? The analysis that follows will break down China's capabilities in this region, outlining the scale of military forces deployed, its hybrid tactics, and potential flashpoints for future conflict, drawing on key statistics and historical precedents to offer insights into China's broader geopolitical strategy. China's military capabilities in the South China Sea are a force to be reckoned with, particularly when considering its advanced naval power. The People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, has rapidly expanded, now boasting the world's largest naval fleet by ship count. In 2024, the PLAN operated over 370 vessels, including some of the most modern warships and support systems. Among the crown jewels of this fleet are China's aircraft carriers. The Liaoning and Shandong are joined by the newly developed Fujian, a cutting-edge carrier capable of launching aircraft via an electromagnetic catapult, a significant technological leap in naval aviation. These carriers not only allow China to project power across vast maritime distances, but also serve as mobile bases for air and naval operations, especially around the South China Sea. To support amphibious operations, China has also strengthened its capabilities with the introduction of Type 075 and Type 076 amphibious assault ships, capable of carrying large numbers of troops, vehicles, and drones, signaling Beijing's readiness for large-scale, multi-pronged military operations in contested zones. The sheer number of surface combatants, including over 60 destroyers and frigates, allows China to dominate the waters with advanced anti-ship and anti-air warfare systems. These assets are reinforced by a robust submarine fleet, with China's Type 095 nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines adding a significant strategic deterrence layer. In the air, the People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLA-AF, plays a pivotal role in China's military ambitions. China has invested heavily in stealth aircraft like the J-20 fighter, which rivals the United States F-22 in capabilities. The PLA-AF also deploys a variety of offensive aircraft, such as the J-16 fighter bomber and the long-range H-6 bombers, which are equipped with precision strike capabilities and can conduct strikes over extended distances in contested airspace. These aircraft, coupled with China's integrated air defense systems, including the HQ-9 surface-to-air missile system, ensure that China maintains a formidable air presence in the region, capable of intercepting enemy aircraft and supporting maritime operations. With forward air bases across key locations in the South China Sea, including on artificial islands and reclaimed reefs, China's air power is not only a defensive tool, but also a method of extending its reach and control over this critical region. Perhaps most alarming, however, are China's missile capabilities. The PLA Rocket Force, PLARF, maintains a diverse inventory of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and anti-ship ballistic missiles, ASBMs, designed to counter any naval forces approaching its claimed territories. The DF-21D ASBM, sometimes dubbed the carrier killer, is a key asset in this arsenal, capable of targeting and destroying aircraft carriers. This missile, along with a growing number of cruise missiles such as the YJ-12, allows China to dominate the region's maritime environment by preventing foreign intervention through a strategy of area denial. With these weapons positioned on artificial islands and mobile launch platforms across the South China Sea, China could rapidly neutralize any perceived threats, reinforcing its control over the waters it claims. The combination of these capabilities, naval power, air superiority, and missile dominance, forms a powerful triad, giving China the tools it needs for both deterrence and offensive operations in the South China Sea. These capabilities point to China's clear strategic intention to not only secure its territorial claims, but also to challenge international norms and freedoms of navigation in one of the world's most critical maritime regions. The growing technological sophistication of China's military forces, combined with its aggressive stance, signals that Beijing's ambitions in the South China Sea are far from over, and any conflict in the region could quickly escalate into a multi-front confrontation.
Another Chinese fighter jet harassing and flying dangerously close to a U.S. military plane. Officials say this happened Tuesday over the South China Sea, the Chinese jet coming within 10 feet of the American B-52.
China's approach to the South China Sea often revolves around gray zone tactics, actions that exert pressure on rival claimants without crossing into full-scale military conflict. Through paramilitary forces, Coast Guard operations, and militia activity, Beijing can push its territorial claims incrementally, intimidating neighboring nations into compliance. These forces, often operating in the shadows, enable China to assert its presence on contested islands and reefs without triggering an overt military response. This strategy allows Beijing to continue its land reclamation efforts and militarization of artificial islands while avoiding the diplomatic fallout of open warfare. As seen in recent years, China's use of militia fishing boats and Coast Guard ships in disputed areas often leads to standoffs that avoid escalating into full-scale conflict, but still send a clear message of territorial assertion. In a more aggressive strategy, China could employ phased sequential offensives, using slice-by-slice tactics to secure one disputed territory at a time. This method allows China to steadily advance its claims by neutralizing smaller, less defended targets before moving on to more significant ones, avoiding a broad-scale escalation. By taking incremental steps, China can maintain the narrative of protecting sovereignty while reducing the risk of a simultaneous, multi-front confrontation. For example, a targeted attack on a single island or disruption of shipping lanes could be followed by further assertive actions, building a chain of territorial gains that leave little room for counteraction, all while deflecting international scrutiny with claims of self-defense. This tactic aims to avoid triggering a unified military response by isolating each engagement and preventing a coordinated response by multiple claimants. Any Chinese military escalation could quickly draw in external actors, notably the United States, Japan, Australia, and India. The U.S. maintains significant naval and air presence in the region under its freedom of navigation, operations FONOPS, and has security alliances such as with the Philippines and Japan that may trigger a defense commitment in the event of a confrontation. Japan and Australia have strategic interests in maintaining the rule of law in international waters, and a Chinese escalation could prompt immediate military or economic responses, recalibrating the regional balance. The Quad, the US, Japan, Australia, and India, could also respond with collective diplomatic pressure or military support, particularly in defense of freedom of navigation. ASEAN, while divided on many issues, would likely rally around a collective stance against China's growing influence, particularly in light of its aggressive actions in disputed waters. In any such scenario, China's calculations would need to factor in the risks of escalating into a broader regional conflict, especially if external actors coordinate their responses. China's strategic calculations in the South China Sea are driven by a complex balancing act between short-term territorial gains and the long-term risks associated with potential escalation. In the short term, securing territorial control over critical maritime choke points and regional dominance allows China to project power and exert influence over key trade routes that are vital to its economy. These areas also provide Beijing with resources such as oil, natural gas, and fishing stocks, which are crucial to its growing demands. However, these gains come with significant long-term risks, including the potential for strategic isolation, as other nations may seek to counter China's influence, leading to intensified economic sanctions and diplomatic condemnation. Moreover, China's actions must align with Xi Jinping's vision of national rejuvenation and the China Dream, a core part of his leadership narrative.
台湾是中国的神圣领土，两岸人民血脉相连，血浓于水。我们要坚持一个中国原则和9·2共识，深化两岸经济文化交流合作，促进两岸同胞心灵契合，坚决反对台独分裂活动，实现祖国完全统一。
However, these assertive tactics might risk misaligning with the broader strategic goals of peaceful rise and stable growth, particularly if they lead to economic backlash or diplomatic isolation. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a cornerstone of China's foreign policy, could also face setbacks if tensions in the South China Sea affect trade routes and cooperation with other countries, potentially undermining China's broader global ambitions. Thus, while China's immediate territorial objectives may be well served by aggression in the South China Sea, its long-term strategic vision must account for the broader geopolitical consequences and risks of overextension. In sum, China's strategic calculations in the South China Sea are multifaceted and highly complex. While Beijing can exploit gray zone tactics and phased offensives to gain territory gradually, the involvement of external actors and the long-term risks of strategic isolation and economic backlash make any escalation a delicate gamble. The balance between short-term gains and long-term stability will ultimately shape China's actions in the region and could have profound implications for global security. China's military capabilities in the South China Sea are undeniably formidable, with a modernized People's Liberation Army Navy, plan, advanced air and missile forces, and significant infrastructure on artificial islands. However, these strengths are tempered by profound operational vulnerabilities. The logistical complexities of maintaining supply lines across vast maritime distances, the risks of resource dilution, and the difficulties in coordinating a multi-front campaign place significant limitations on China's ability to wage a simultaneous conflict. The potential for internal resource overextension and external intervention would further complicate any military operation, making a coordinated multi-front assault both challenging and uncertain. From a strategic perspective, launching simultaneous attacks on multiple nations would represent a high-risk, self-defeating move for China. Such an approach risks not only military failure, but also severe diplomatic and economic isolation. China's preference for gradual ascendance, leveraging gray zone tactics and phased offensives, underscores its strategic preference for managing conflict incrementally while avoiding all-out confrontation. The potential for catastrophic backlash from external actors, particularly the United States and its allies, makes the risk of a multi-front attack increasingly irrational. The economic and political fallout from such an aggressive move could undermine Beijing's long-term strategic goals, including its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and its global ambitions. In conclusion, while a simultaneous attack on 5 nations, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and potentially Indonesia, is technically possible under ideal conditions, the strategic and operational risks far outweigh the potential rewards. The logistical challenges, intelligence limitations, and diplomatic consequences would make such an operation highly unlikely. China's strategic approach, which favors gradual and controlled expansion, is far more aligned with its long-term objectives than a full-scale military escalation. As such, while tensions in the South China Sea will continue to challenge regional stability, a direct, multi-front confrontation remains improbable, as China would likely seek to avoid actions that could lead to catastrophic regional instability. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.